All right, class. So, Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon, everyone. Class, Assalamualaikum, very good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good
All
afternoon, sir.
right.
Salam, good afternoon, sir.
Welcome back to UMP. All right. So, how was your mid-semester break? Superb, nice.
It was nice, sir.
It was nice, okay. But it is nicer for you to have here, to have all of you here for our short discussion on our second assessment, okay. All right, so again, before we go into deeper, I would like to inform you that this session is recorded for future reference and also in case if you want to watch it back, okay? So today we're going to have like a short discussion, maybe like 30 minutes, okay? And regarding our assessment 2, okay, which is divided into two, assessment 2A, SOP reading, and assessment 2B, SOP listening. And this is going to be conducted by next week, okay? Next week. Today is Wednesday. Am I correct? Yes, today is Wednesday. All right, so I'm going to share my screen with all of you. So please pay close attention to what I am telling you and also to what I'm going to show to you. Okay, all right. So we started about this thing beginning from week 5, okay, which is on our second module, process and procedure. All right. And then most of the contents, not most, I can say that all of the contents for the second module, process and procedure, have been uploaded way earlier, okay, because all right, initially this module is supposed to be SBL mode, okay, and this week is also SBL mode, and the reason why we don't want to have the assessment to be conducted this week is because you have just come back from your mid-semester break and suddenly we don't want to have like a test to be administered abruptly, okay. Right, so we have here the new module, okay, which is on process and procedure, which is basically about SOP or standard operating procedure. Okay, so we have done that. I believe that most of you have gone through it. Hopefully, okay, I'm not sure about it, but hopefully. And then do not forget you have to do the exercises as well, okay, just to make sure that you understand what you are supposed to do regarding standard operating procedure and also process and procedure for module 2. So week 6, we have covered this, okay, we have done with the presentation. All of the groups have presented the week before your mid-semester break. And then week 7, this is on what do you call it, as a mid-semester break, okay? And then this is our week now. So we are in week 8. And my biggest concern for assessment 2A, which is on SOP reading, will be on this part, sequencing practice. So I hope that you are on the same page with me, whereby you can go to week 8, okay, and then under week 8 in column you can go and have a look at sequencing practice, okay. Because why? For assessment 2A SOP reading, it is divided into 3 smaller parts: part A, part B, and part C, okay. For part A, it is going to be on sequencing. Part B and Part C, it is going to be more on multiple choice question and also true or false kind of questions, okay? And most of the times, you're going to take more time to concentrate and finish on Part A, which is on sequencing, okay? And how to tackle this kind of thing. So I have opened this practice, okay? And I have also opened the answer to it. So what I need you to do, not today, afterwards, is for you to what do you call it? Do the exercises first, okay? And I'm going to share the answers to each of the exercises, let's say for information transfer and everything in our group later on. Then you have to check whether you got it correct or not. And at the same time, if you have any queries, okay, regarding the answers, you can forward it in the group and then we can discuss, okay? So because it is SBL, I am meeting you like very slim chances in the sense of it. So it is better for us to do what you are supposed to do, and at the same time, I will be assisting you in the learning process. Okay, so I have opened this activity, sequencing activity, and if you look over here, it is divided into 3 parts: introduction, body, and the conclusion. However, in the real assessment, you are not going to have this kind of structure, but the method of evaluation will be the same in the sense that you have to rearrange the sentences in the correct sequence in numerical order. So number 1, number 2, number 3, up until number 10 or 14, depending on the question. So over here, it is in 14 numbers, okay? I mean, like up to number 14, okay? There are 14 sentences, and you have to rearrange it accordingly. So the first one has been done or given to you, which is on this sentence, okay? What comes to mind when you see candles? So we associate candles with celebrations or special occasions like Christmas or birthdays. If I'm sure all of us have used candles for celebrations, romantic experiences, or for just plain decoration. So candles date back to the ancient Egyptians, who are credited with making the first candles. Okay, so I am giving you a rough idea about this thing, whereby, okay, all right, if you remember the basic concept of an essay, okay, if you can see on the screen, all right, so this is supposed to begin with the general statement, and then it goes to the thesis statement over here. So the movement, okay, all right, from the general statement to the thesis statement, it is called a funnel concept or inverted pyramid. So you start with the bigger idea, then you narrow it down to the topic or the thesis statement of the essay. So that is the reason why over here, number 1 comes as number 1, because it is more on general statement, okay, general statement about candle, okay. All right, so let's have a look at the answers of the thing. Okay, so these are the answers for this activity. So number 1, you know about it, and how to make or identify which one is going to be number 2, number 3, and so on. So in the introduction itself, there are 4 sentences. Right, the first one has been given to you. So number 2 here, 2 years ago, I made candles for decoration and also for people to purchase. I have also made candles since then as part of my choir youth club around the Christmas season. So what makes it as the second sentence, not the one on top or not the one at the bottom under introduction? Can someone identify the words over here just to show that it is actually number 2? Can someone identify it?
It,
Yes. No one? Okay, no worries. All right. I'm going to tell you how it works. Okay. So we begin with the history of the candle. So it is said that it dated back to the ancient Egyptians. So the history of it. All right. And then they were the first who is told to make the candle. All right. So we were informed that they are the first person. They were the first person who created candles. Okay. All right. And then remember funnel concept, the big idea, then you narrow it down. So let's have a look at the one over here. Let's start by doing the most important thing, which is to find all the materials and tools needed to make candles. Is it the one? No. Keep it first. Number 4, I will explain 3 basic things in making homemade candles, which include how to go about finding the right materials and so on. So basically over here, you can see that it tells about how to make candle. While the one here, 2 years ago, I made candles, it is more or still on the general explanation about the candle itself. Started from the history of it, then you can relate it to your own experiences, then maybe you are going to tell or share with the readers that you are or you have the experience on how to make candle and what are the steps involved. So that is the reason why 2 years ago, okay, who are credited with making the first candle, at the end of it, then you begin with the word 2 years ago, I made candles for decoration. So I here refers to the author, still in the general statement. So the bigger idea, then you want to narrow it down. So number 2 here, okay? All right, and then this author tell you that he or she has the experience of making candle. Okay, and then he or she wanted to share on how to do it. Okay, so over here, number 4, you can see that this is more detailed. How many steps involved? There are 3 steps involved. Number 1, finding the right materials and tools. Number 2, how to melt the wax. And number 3, how to make a molded ice cube candle. So that is more detail. However, before that, okay, you have the word let's start. So that will be the keyword. The word start. So beginning by it. So let's start by doing the most important thing, which is to find all of the materials and tools needed to make candles. And this is the reason why it is number 3, not number 4. Because in number 4, okay, all right, after you have find the materials and tools, there are also other steps involved. Okay, remember that you should have at least 5 paragraphs, okay, for an essay, introduction, 3 paragraphs on the body paragraph, and then lastly the conclusion. Okay, so this is how you arrange it. Okay, then number 5. So number 4, we know that there are 3 steps involved. Okay, right materials and tools, how to melt the wax, and lastly how to make a molded ice cube candle. So this is the last step in the introduction. So, okay, we move on to over here. All right. So you will need wax, either old worn out candles, or you can purchase paraffin wax from a craft store. Remember that you have to find the right tools, the right materials. Okay, materials and tools first. Okay, so why not this one? Next, break ice cubes into chunks and fill the carton with crushed ice. Are you going to start with this thing straight away? No. Okay. Right. How about after the wax is melted? So the word after the wax is melted, you know that is under the second process. Okay, which is melting the wax. Okay. And then this is how you go about making a molded ice cube candle. That is the third step. Okay, and then what you need to do first is to place the wax in a double boiler. So you use your own experience or knowledge. What does it mean by boiler? So when we have the word boiler, it's actually you put something raw and then you boil it to make something else. So it is not relevant at all. Okay, and then apart from these essential materials, there are 2 other optional. So what are the essential materials? So before this line, number 6, you must have number 5 first. Okay, and then number 7, once you have all the materials and tools, you can move on to the melting wax. So you have the materials, you have the tools, then you move to the next step. So number 7 is not going to be number 5. So that is the reason why number 5 appear here, because you have mentioned that you have to get the materials and plus the right tools first. Okay, so you have the wax, okay, whether it is old worn out candles or the paraffin wax that you bought from a craft store, and then you also need wick, a double boiler, and a mold if you are planning on making a molded candle. So this is number 5, followed by number 6 here, apart from this essential material. So you have the word apart, other than. Okay, and then there are 2 other optional ingredients. Okay, then number 7, since that you have all of the essential materials, then you are going to move to the next step, which is melting the wax, number 7. So in order for you to melt the wax, what you need to do? So you need to do first is to place the wax in the double boiler. We know that you are going to melt the wax. So in order for you to melt the wax, of course, you need to have something, okay, to boil it, to dissolve it. Okay, so then you put in a pan, number 8. Okay, number 9, what happened after the wax is melted? So after the wax is melted, you can let your creativity run wild and have fun making candles. Okay, but I'm going to show you how to make a molded ice cube candle. That is step number 3. So step number 3, this is the one. This is how you go about making a molded ice cube candle, because you mentioned it earlier, then you move to the step. So what do you need to do? So in the process of making a molded ice cube candle, firstly, you cut off the top of a milk carton, and then you place a height of the carton in the center of the carton, and this makes an excellent wick. Okay, so that is number 10. Okay, all right. Then after that, you break the ice cube into chunks and fill the carton with crushed ice. Quickly pour hot wax into the carton while someone holds the candle straight. So finally, pour off excess water when the wax is completely hardened. Okay, so that is the third step. So you have put it in the mold. Then you're waiting for it to be hardened. Okay. And then for the conclusion, you have 3 more statements over here, right? And normally for the conclusion, you're going to recap what you have mentioned earlier. So you're going to summarize in summary what we have done. Okay. And that is the reason why number 12 is for this sentence. All right. Because you are telling the reader again that I have mentioned to you earlier, these are the steps to make an ice cube candle. Okay. So what have I shared earlier? So number 12, this is number 12. And then number 13, briefly, I talk about how to do 3 basic things. Finding the right materials and tools. Okay. Melting the wax. And lastly, how to make it into a molded ice cube candle. All right. And finally, more on the complementary ending for that particular paragraph. So this is how you are supposed to organize your thoughts on sequencing activity. How to identify the keywords, how to look for the cue or the keyword in the last line of the sentence, and what are the following lines in the preceding sentences. Okay, so please be very careful about this, because this is going to be the first thing that you are going to deal with in assessment to A SOP reading. Okay, then for the reading itself, it is divided, since that it is divided into 3 parts. Okay, part A, 10 questions, part B, another 10 questions, and part C will be 15 questions. Okay, for part B and part C, it is more on reading comprehension. Part B, you will be given an article, okay, consisting of 10 questions, okay, followed by 10 questions, and the article is on a process, how to make something. So you read about it, okay, and then you have to transfer the information by answering the questions that followed. Okay, that follow, okay? So in the question itself, you must also identify the keywords. Okay, for example, some of the statement, some of the question, all of the following statements are true except. So you have option A, B, C, and D, A, B, C, and D. So meaning that the 3 statements are true except that one. So which one is it? So you have to be very careful about it, especially when it comes to figure, for example, numbers. All right, sometimes you misconfuse about it. In the statement, it stated about 12,001, for instance, okay? And then maybe in the options, okay, it is 12,010, all right, 12,000. So you mistaken it, because sometimes you tend to be going fast for certain part of the question because you think that it is easy. So be very careful about that kind of thing, okay? The same goes for part C, whereby you're going to have SOP, okay, an adapted version of the SOP, all right? And then from the procedure itself, you have to digest the information, then you have to answer the questions, okay? And do not worry, because for part B and part C, we have arranged the questions according to the information given. So in the first paragraph, for example, for part B, so question number 1 maybe comes from the first paragraph, and the same goes for the question number 2. For instance, okay, question number 3 maybe comes from the second paragraph, and so on. So you don't have to worry that the information will be straight away given to you, in the sense that, okay, you don't have to look at the end of the paragraph, okay, to make sure that, oh, this is the answer for question number 1. No, it's not going to be like that, okay? And at the same time, you're going to have true or false kind of questions too, okay? So you read the statement, all right, based from your own understanding regarding the text, then you decide whether it is true or false. All right. So during the test, okay, I'm going to give you the question paper together with the answer sheet. All right, individually. Okay. So you can refer to the question paper, but you are not allowed to write anything on the question paper, because I'm going to collect back the question paper. Okay, so none of you are allowed to write anything on the question paper. So please write only on the answer sheet given. Okay, so the answer sheet is only 1 page. So the back of it, if you want to write like a note, so you can write it there. Okay, if you want to. However, I see there is no reason why you should be writing a note, except that if you go for assessment to be SOP listening, because you just need to read and then transfer the information. I mean, like the answers. Okay, so that will be on how we are going to deal with assessment 2A SOP reading. Okay, so next week we're going to have it. However, I'm not sure whether it is going to be on Wednesday or not, because Monday is a public holiday. Okay, and our second meeting will be on Wednesday. And on Wednesday next week, I have a very important meeting to be conducted at IIUM Kuantan at 2 o'clock. I'm not sure whether I can make it um, in Gambang, okay, by 4 o'clock. Okay, I'm not sure about it, but I will keep you updated. Okay, maybe we are going to have the test to be conducted a bit later, maybe on Friday, for example. So you just need to come and then do the test, and then you can go back. For example, I will be discussing about it later on in our group, okay, in our WhatsApp group. Right, that will be about assessment 2A, which is going to be 1 hour and 30 minutes. Okay, 1 hour and 30 minutes. And then it carries 15% of your overall marks. Okay, 50%, 15% of your overall marks, and 1 hour and 30 minutes, 35 questions altogether. So that is for assessment 2A. Okay, now let's move on to assessment 2B, SOP listening. Okay, so for SOP listening, it is also divided into 3 parts. Part A, Part B, Part C. 10 questions, 5 questions, and 5 questions. So 10 questions only in Part A, while for Part B and Part C, you will be having only 5 questions. Part C, true or false, straight away. 5 questions, true or false. Part B, MCQ, multiple choice question, but you have only 3 options, A, B, and C. While for part A, you are going to have 10 questions, multiple choice questions, A, B, C, and D with 4 options. Okay, all right. So it's going to be similar like your SPM, your secondary school, or your MUET examination if you have taken it, whereby the recording will be played twice. Okay, so when you listen to the recording for the first time, don't worry, the answer sheet will also be given to you. So you just need to be there. Okay, you just need to write your answers. Okay, just write your answers on the answer sheet while you listen to the recording for the first time. When you listen to the recording for the second time, you double check your answers. Or if you miss any of the question, then you can pay close attention to it and then put your answers to it. Okay, so just to share with you, there will be 3 recordings, part A, part B, and part C. For part A, it is going to be native speaker. What does it mean by native speaker? So native speaker, we can say that orang putih. All right. So it means that the person who is using English language as their mother tongue. Okay. For part B and part C, we have adjusted the recording and we are using the local people for the recording itself. All right. So with the hope that you can really listen to the wordings or the words that come out from their mouth. So that will be for part A, part B, and part C in assessment to be SOP listening. Okay. And for SOP listening, there is a high possibility that we are not going to do it next week, but we are going to do it in our week 10. Okay, in week 10, which is on the 19th of May. So before we begin with the lesson for the new module, module 3, so we're going to have the test first, listening test. So you can listen to it, all right? And then you can listen to it and then you can answer it. And then after like 30 minutes or 40 minutes, then we're going to continue with the lesson. So that is about assessment to be SOP listening. So right now, I'm going to open the session for any question from you. Yes, class, you can ask me any question regarding our assessment to A and assessment to B. Class, question? Class?
I have no question, I think, sir.
All right, Najbuddin. Okay, how about the others? So maybe we can have like a short polling later on in our group, okay? Because I'm not sure whether next Wednesday, okay, I can make it by 4 o'clock for the, what do you call it, for the test, okay, for assessment to ASOP reading, because my meeting is going to be conducted at IIUM Kuantan, okay, by 2 o'clock, okay, and then my expectation is going to be longer. So I believe that we cannot make it on next Wednesday. So I'm going to ask you whether you are available on Friday morning or maybe Friday afternoon after Friday prayer, that we can have our test to be conducted during that time. So just respond to the polling afterwards, okay, in a group. All right. So that will be the plan for next week. Okay. Because Monday is a public holiday, Wesak Day. So that is a burn off completely. All right. We cannot have any session. So Wednesday, I have a meeting at 2 o'clock. Okay. And I am really afraid, and I am 98% sure that it is going to be dragged until 5 o'clock. Okay. And after that, I mean, like, our meeting is going to be the following week. So I'm trying to have the reading test first. Okay. Still within that next week. Okay. Maybe on Friday. And then our listening is going to be conducted in the following week, which is week 10. Okay, class? So that is our plan. But don't worry, if you have further question, okay, regarding the exercises or practices and such, okay, for the reading and also the listening, I have shared with you the listening recording activities, the recordings itself, so you can listen to it and then answer it at the same time. So do not hesitate to ask me in our group, and I will attend to it as soon as possible, okay? So that is my plan for what I can do and assist you at this moment, okay? So if you don't have any other question, I'm going to stop the recording session now, okay? Again, as a reminder, if you have any question,